Hey YouTube, Smoky Medic here. I was tagged by, excuse me, by Dave Pearson's Real Big Monkey from Real Big Monkey 1 YouTube channel on 5 items that every beginning bushcrafter needs. Now Dave has been on YouTube for a long time. He makes awesome bushcrafting content, and his videos are mostly longer, like in the 45-minute to an hour range most of the time, which I personally like. And he does a lot of do-it-yourself videos, and a lot of the gear that he deals with, talks about, uses, isn't stuff that's going to break the bank. It's going to be stuff like me, or probably most of us that are blue-collar workers. You know, we work hard for our money, are going to be able to afford or obtain easily without breaking our bank. You know, unlike some of the people who wear like $200 leather gloves. Okay, so thanks for tagging me, Dave. Really appreciate it. I've enjoyed your videos for a long time, and you're one of the ones who got me interested in getting out and trying my hand at bushcraft. So my 5 items. First off, probably the #1 item that everybody's gonna do is a knife. You cannot practice bushcraft without a good quality knife. Now, today we live in an awesome time to be a knife user, knife lover, knife fanatic, knife junkie, whatever you want to call it. You can get extremely quality, high-end production knives for extremely reasonable prices nowadays. So there's something to meet everyone's needs and budget. Okay, so I'm going to start down with probably the most #1, probably the least expensive, but still incredibly high quality knife you can get, a Mora. This particularly is the Mora Companion. This is the carbon steel version. They also come in a stainless steel version, which would still be a great choice. Depends on what you want. Stainless steel is going to be a little more forgiving as far as maintenance goes. Starting to sprinkle here. Get my gear underneath my file point here. Alright, so we start again. Comes with a plastic molded sheath. It's a very simplistic sheath, but still highly functional. It does the job of the sheath. Protects the knife, holds the knife in there securely. It's got a belt loop, belt clip. Awesome. Most Moras can be had for $20 and under. They need to make some more expensive Moras that go into the like $40, $50 range, and you have like the Mora Garberg, who goes for I think $100 to $130. So Mora. So even if money isn't an object to you, you know, a Mora should still be on the list of possibilities of your first bushcrafting knife, just based on, you know, I mean, they've been around for years and they're awesome. Another great knife to consider is a Condor Bushlore. Condor makes fantastic knives. All their knives are made in El Salvador. I believe they're all made in El Salvador for sure. They might have some US made ones, but none of them are made in China. And they've got quite the collection of bushcrafting style knives too. But I would say the Bushlore is probably their most popular. This is the wood handled version. It also comes in a micarta handled version, which does cost about $20 more. So I personally like the wood handled version, not only because of the price, but I like the looks of it. You know, it's got a classic look to it. The Condor Bushlore runs about, I think, $50, $55, somewhere in there. And it also comes with a extremely high quality leather sheath. I mean, it's nice thick leather, belt loop. It's just fantastic. Fantastic package all the way around. So Condor Bushlore. And then if you want to maybe you start bushcrafting, maybe you're doing it for a few months, a few years, something like that, and you decide that you want something special. There's a lot of one-man custom knife shops out there right now, guys that do it part-time on the side, maybe even full-time as a business, and they're making just super high quality knives made to the specs that you want. And this next knife is actually just that. Had it for a little under about a year and a half, under 2 years, and this is from Garrett Forge. You can find him on Instagram. He's got examples of all of his knives that he makes. They're all hand forged by him. And if you want to see something on there that you want, if you see an example of something on there that you want, you can contact with him, or if you have an idea in your head, you can hit him up and he'll conversate with you back and forth and make you a knife. So not only did this knife come with this, you know, hand stitched leather dangler sheath, came the specs I want. So this is a Nesmith style knife. Just love this knife. The price I paid for it was, you know, less than most of the production Nesmith style knives that are out there in the market, and a hell of a lot nicer. So awesome, just awesome knife, wicked sharp too. So after a knife, what comes after a knife is your number 2 needed item for a beginning bushcrafter. Saw. A lot like knives, we have all kinds of options nowadays. Probably the most popular, most economical example you have is the Baco Laplander, made in Sweden. Runs about $15 or so, I think, on Amazon. Something else that's getting more popular, especially with more experienced people, are the silky saws made in Japan. Now these are professional grade arborist tools, so they're not as forgiving. What I mean forgiving is you have to really know how to use these. They're not hard to use, but they operate and they work differently than the Baco Laplander. So just take that in mind. They are also more expensive. Again, the Baco runs for somewhere around the $15 range. These two silkies here, which is the Gumboy 210, and this is the Silty Ultra XL 240. These run in the $40 up to, I think, almost around $60 range, okay? But, you know, they do different things. They work different, made out of different materials. Blades are obviously a lot longer, especially with this Ultra XL. So just keep that in mind. I will also say that Silky does make a version now that does have like the plastic type of handle as well, that is priced more affordably, around the same price as the Baco, so keep that in mind. Something that's also cool with the Silkies is they have you can change the blades out, so they make different blades for different uses. You can have an extra one with you in case one breaks, so pretty cool. And they're my favorite. Started with the Baco and ended up going with the Silkies, and that's what I carry in the woods now. So you've got your knife, you've got your saw. And after that, you know, probably one of the biggest things that people start off trying to figure out how to do in bushcrafting is fire making. And most bushcrafters are going to learn to make fires and start their fires with a ferro rod. Okay, this is like, what, like a half-inch ferro rod, something like that, I think. Maybe a little bit smaller. If you can avoid wasting your time with those little like keychain type ones, I'd recommend just go ahead and getting something like this if you can. And then with your knife, It's nice to have a 90-degree sharp spine in the back. Why is that? That way you can use it as a striker. Now if your knife doesn't come with 90-degree sharp spine, that's easy fixable, easy to fix. I mean, you can do that with just a, get yourself a file that spine down where you want it, as flat and sharp as you want it. If you have a belt grinder, just real lightly flatten that down to how sharp you want it, okay? So that's number 3. Knife, saw, ferro rod. So we got 2 to go. So this next item, kind of cheating. It's actually 2 items, but I'm combining them into one. All right, and that is a vessel to carry water, a nesting cup. Personally, I think your bottle, it should be a stainless steel bottle or canteen, either one. This is a 40-ounce clean canteen, stainless steel, unlined. It's very important you make sure it's not lined. That's so that way if you have to boil water into this, you don't have that lining that will melt and come off inside, okay? So I've had this clean canteen for years before I even ever really started messing around with bushcraft. And it's just beat to hell and has no leaks or anything in it. It's also got a super wide mouth, so it's easy to pour out of, drink out of, or pour things into. So if you needed to, if you had to get some water out of a creek, water out of a pond, you could boil this over a fire to kill off the pathogens in the water. And then a drinking cup, nesting cup, also important. This is the first one I've had. This is a GSI. Don't remember how many ounces this is, but I would actually say to start off with something deeper than this. So they make ones that are, don't remember how many ounces they are, but they're taller, like so. You can get them everywhere now. Self-Reliance Outfitters has their versions that are stainless steel. I think they have titanium now. There's a bunch of titanium ones in the market on Amazon you can get for very reasonable prices. And what that's going to do, that's going to give you a vessel you can cook in. You can cook soups. You can heat up water separate for teas, coffees, hot chocolate, whatever you want to, okay? So give you something to, make yourself something to eat, something to drink out of in just one package, okay? So counting that as one, I'm cheating. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that leaves one more item. Now this kind of came down to 3 items. I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. They're all very valuable and useful in the field, in my opinion. But I was trying to think which one of them would be used most often. Maybe every time you go out and make your trips out more enjoyable and more comfortable. It's a tarp. Whether it's a inexpensive blue Harbor Freight tarp like this that costs a few dollars, or you can get for free in some cases sometimes, or better yet, a canvas Soviet era Posh Palatka like I've got this plow point made into. It's gonna make your life a lot more comfortable out in the field. You can use it as a ground tarp like I am with this blue one, so that way you have a clean, dry surface to sit on, lay on, to lay your things on while you're practicing your woodcraft, firecraft, whatever, resting. You can make a plow point shelter again, and if you spend the extra money and get something like this Posh Palatka, costs about $20. It's multi-use, multifunctional, so you can not only use it as a tarp and use it as a ground tarp, or to make a shelter like this. It can also be used as a poncho. It can be converted into a poncho. So I mean, right there you have 3 uses altogether. If you were to have multiple Posh Palatkas, you can combine them together to make an even bigger shelter. There's also military surplus 2-man, 2-piece tents out there too you can buy. You can carry one of the halves, and it can be used like a Posh Palatka too, almost. I have an Austrian 2-person tent, 2-piece tent that you know, I used to carry one half out in the field, and it would convert into a poncho, and it was a very, very useful, very effective poncho. So that's my 5 things. You know, those are the 5 things I think are good for every beginning bushcrafter. None of these things are going to break the bank, especially if you went with something like the Mora, and then the water bottle nesting cup combination, and the ferro rod, and the Baco, or the more affordable Baco type Silky, which I should get, and an inexpensive tarp. You're going to be in the game and going to be able to go out, have a trip in the woods. You might not want to necessarily do overnights with all that stuff if that's all you have, but you'll definitely be able to go out, do some day trips, get some training and practice in, or you can do what I'm doing now. Quarantined, you know, stay-at-home orders in my state. I'm just out in my backyard. I have my pod point shelter set up. Instead of using a tree, I'm using a flagpole in front of me to have my pod point attached to. So don't forget that you don't have to be in the woods to practice bushcraft. You can do it in your own backyard if you want to. Alright, so this is Smoky Medic. Thanks for watching, guys. Go check out the Real Big Monkey 1, Dave Parson's YouTube channel, and go check everyone else's channel and video that he tagged in this series. Alright, guys, thanks for watching. Take care.